Assalamu alaikum fam, hope you're doing well. So this is a video, I'm gonna start making all the responses, either just typing in the comment section, on the community post, or making video responses to it so that, you can get some more details. Some, obviously, things can be answered with a few sentences and others need more of an explanation. So one of them was why I think the US should not be aggressive to Russia. And one of the top reasons is I'm just really tired of how our leaders are weakening the military by allowing everyone who isn't a straight male to enter into the military, and how that is putting our reputation on the line and encouraging women to give up being a mother and to go die for the military-industrial complex. As you know, I am myself, pretty forward woman who did want to join the Marines. My mother wanted to join the Navy, but funny part is she had me and then I had my little one, which put the stop to those desires. So I understand the compulsion of some women wanting to do something for their country and be around a different kind of energy than the princess energy or the useless supermodel energy. So this is understandable for me on my part. But essentially it comes down to we have nothing to gain in Ukraine, and we know that Biden is super corrupt. His son Hunter has dealings with Ukraine. Biden has been on camera saying that he pressured some Ukrainian officials to stop investigating his son's dealings. So there's a corruption level, but also there's just a very sick, dark regime consciousness, rather, in the world that seeks to just destroy, loot the resources, enslave the people, waste taxpayer money, right? While our own infrastructure and schools and everything is crumbling. See, it doesn't make sense to me why we neglect so much of our country, where gangs run rampant and we don't do anything. And we are pretending to care about what happens in Ukraine and Russia. And the laptop class, right? The talking heads on the media, they are really trying to push people to go perish in some foreign land because a leader who's old and decrepit and has dementia and sniffs kids' hair said so. And they can pretend it's like, very elite foreign policy, posh, progressive, modern, whatever. But I feel like we really have nothing to gain. The politics of power play of that just doesn't make sense to me. Yes, true, we don't want another USSR, but I'd say China is more of a threat. And, if you demonize, Russia and China, they could easily just team up, and then we're going to have a real problem on our hands. I mean, look at the leader of Canada. He's not somebody who really commands presence, right? And I think the Ukrainians and the Russians should make up, have peace, and Ukraine really shouldn't want to invite American culture into its society unless it wants to have the same vices that we have. I don't think my country, America, is fit to lecture any nation about what they should do and import any of our culture when it's so rotten and it's overrun by occultists, and every day it goes worse and worse and less from God and very, very dark. And Biden hires a lot of Frankensteins, and it seems really depressing to think that more honorable men will go and perish because some dude in a suit told them to, and they're neglecting their families. They're leaving their daughters behind, their sons behind, their wives behind, when they have things that they need to fix here. The military is huge. We have a huge military. We don't really need more people to go into it. And, a lot of the veterans, they come back with PTSD. They get put on pills. The pills make them crazy. And they end their lives. And nobody cares. They're mumbling to themselves on the street. And you have the leftists who are really starting to hate the soldiers. And you have a lot of immigrants coming in who don't love the nation, so they don't care about the soldiers. And then you have university classes, as in economic class, who are teaching, America is evil, America is racist, America is an imperialist country. So the younger generations, they are not really as attached to the military, and the military has been put to awful causes that have made people resent the military for what they've done. So for me personally, when it comes to the fear-mongering around Russia, and we gotta go protect Ukraine, but our border is literally wide open. And they say it's racist to protect our border with Mexico when cartels are trafficking small children. And Jen Spassky, however you say her name, she's such a... I don't even want to say, but she's every bad name in the book. She just mocks reporters who tell her this is occurring. And a lot of liberals do that. They're very smug about it. Oh, you're a racist, white supremacist, you want to close the border. It's like we have thousands upon thousands coming across, and children are being left in the desert to perish. There's bodies in the Rio Grande. The little girls and little boys are being assaulted by the coyote traffickers. But liberals don't want to talk about it, and instead they just call you a racist if you want to stop the border from being overrun. And that it's going to cause problems for them to get a job. It has to be logistics. There has to be a flow. Like, okay, you have to assimilate. You have to, have somewhere to live. You got to know, the basic rules. We got to give people, education. We got to build schools. You got a lot of work to do, right? And the border's really wide open, and they're killing cattle and causing fires on the border because they start fires to cook food. They don't put the fire out correctly, and it burns land, and it's scary for the people who live at the border because, these really serious narcotraficantes, these, heavy dudes are, smuggling humans for money, right? And these little kids, everyone who has eyes knows where they're ending up. They don't have social security numbers. They don't have anybody who cares about them. So who's going to know if they go missing, right? The human traffickers are looting the villages of the Mexicans, tricking them, and bringing them to America under false pretenses and then shipping them across the world. And leftists don't care. They rather talk about mean tweets and, very extreme, pregnant man emojis, that's their crusade. So I just feel like if we can't protect our own border, why does anybody pretend to care about Ukraine? And we, the common people, don't give no crap about Ukraine. Ain't nobody even met someone from Ukraine. We don't care. Many people don't care. But the media, the warmongers, they're doing, distractions to go away from Biden's failures, and as they just create more lockdowns and make us suffer. So for me, who cares what Russia does to Ukraine? That's their problem. Who gives a crap? We can make dua and that's it. It's not my problem. It's not our country's problem. Look on a map on Google, the pie chart. How much does the United States spend on the military budget? And then look at how much education is funded, and then you look at the quality of teachers we have. Then you look up what grade does America's infrastructure get. It was once a D, now I think it's a C minus. So clearly, we can cut some of the fat off the military and just have better trained warriors on a smaller scale who are more elite. 5 male soldiers can do better than 5 women soldiers or 5 bisexual or gay soldiers because they have more feminine energy. If you have 5 straight men who've passed what they call Hell Week, right? They're super trained. They can do the job of 10 women. But the leftists don't care about really the raw safety of the country. They don't care about anything besides diversity. Their diversity has made holes in the military, and our soldiers no longer represent the traditional American flag and the principles. They now represent a different multicolored flag and their new utopian cultural Marxism and other stuff. They'll gaslight you and tell you this isn't true because that's their psychological strategy of how they just mock you like it's not true, LOL. Anyone who's in California knows what's up. And even people who are putting their ear to the ground, hearing the thunders of the hooves, we know what's going down. So they can mock and say it's not true, but we know what's up. But censorship obviously doesn't allow everyone to really go into it because they don't really want other countries to know what's coming for them. So when it comes to Russia, this feels like at least Russia cares, about morality in a different sense than the Biden regime, right? If I would trade the entire American Senate to have Putin as a leader instead. If there was a thing that says, hand us all your senators and put Putin in as a dictator, I'm at that point where our politicians are so corrupt, I'd be like, you know what? Yeah. Let's just go with a huge change and have strict authority again. That'd be better. That'd be much better than having what we have now in the White House. So I don't think our military can handle more war. I think it's a waste of money. I think that Ukraine should want to team up with Russia instead of teaming up with America because they're going to import our culture and then their culture is going to fall. Right? We're not the cowboy culture, we're not that Native American or very loving black wholesome energy like the Mississippi, Louisiana, Georgia, Kentucky blacks who are just so awesome. West Coast and East Coast, they have their own city swagger, but I'm talking like the traditional like grandma who's cooking and they know how to make good frog soup. They're not afraid of an alligator in the swamp. They cook it up and eat it. Like those type of grandmas, like they're pretty cool, man. But there's few in between of them. And their sons don't deserve to perish. We have to fight evil here at home. We have to stop letting these politicians brainwash us into caring what happens in some place that many Americans can't find on a map. Everyone says that, but it's a giant joke. It's a giant joke. How are you going to care about a country you can't find on a map? Why are you going to send your sons to die in a land while the leaders don't even care? They're going to go partying, doing degenerate things, living rich off our tax dollars while your child that you gave birth to is going to go die for them. They're not protecting freedom because no one's attacking us. And like I said, the border being wide open is a huge, huge threat. That is way more important than Ukraine. So why are we protecting another country's border when we don't protect our own? And then you begin to see, like, obviously there's something else, right? Because the liberals can't say we care about borders and then say if you support border security that you're a white supremacist, nationalist, Nazi, whatever they misogynist, whatever else they say, type of persona. So I think people should be very skeptical when warmongers pretend to care about the safety when Chicago, New York, California have such heavy crime. extreme crime. And our own government allows that type of music, movies, culture to flow within the nation. It's causing it to get more and more collapsed. Right? So the hypocrisy is way too apparent. We can't be the moral arbiters of anything if our university students are taught to hate their nation, if social media calls you a terrorist, if you are patriotic, if people see their own flag as a form of terrorism, which some of them do, and when you have riots from certain organizations that have their roots in cultural Marxism, and then you have, all these just really poorly funded schools with activist teachers, we just have too many issues here to fix to get involved. It's just really quite sad. And I don't think there was another point to it was, do I think there should be a draft? No, the draft should not come back, because they said they would draft women. The feminists pushed for equality, and that means the women would get drafted. And that usually would be if you were under the age of 30, you'd go into the draft. I used to think that it was really important to do a draft, because then you'd strengthen the population, you'd teach them military affairs. But now I realize, no, that just means that wherever the government feels like sending you to perish, that's where you're going to go. And if you have corrupt leaders who are immoral, they represent Iblis, they don't fear Allah, so why are you going to go anywhere where they tell you to go? Why would you believe the media who will lie to us for money and ratings? Why would we believe the information we're being told when we know big tech has an agenda and a propaganda outlet that's, highly psychological and sophisticated? I was never into offensive war strategy. I'm into defensive war strategy, because that's how I feel motivated. I'm not the type of person who jumps to attack someone else arbitrarily. Rather, someone must come to me and then my energy responds. That's how I've been. I feel like that's more moral. There's different mindsets. Those who like to be sneaky and go into another country and go in. Me, it's more of like, when the danger shows itself, that's when you respond. And it has to be immediate danger. I've had arguments with veterans about this, because they say, oh, if you fight them on your own land, they ruin it, so you have to fight them somewhere else so they don't invade you. But then it's like, you're in their country and they shoot at you, they're actually right, and you're the invader because you're not in your land. You're not protecting your land by destroying their land, because they're just going to immigrate to your land. And then, because so much of your men died in a foreign land, the immigrants the men in that country you invaded, they survived. Now they're going to immigrate to yours and then marry your women and take over that way. So what are they talking about? But again, we have, very corrupt generals. We have very sick university brats infiltrating the military, putting their woke agenda into it, and they will sacrifice platoons, missions, lives of soldiers to prove a diversity point. And generals allowing their ranks to be weakened to have diversities hires, that is going to cause a problem. I think it's right that people say just men should be in the military. Straight men, because if you're trying to create an elite killing force, you need the cream of the crop. You can't lower the standard for anyone. And I think very few women would qualify, and too many women are soft. They don't really have that sort of tyrant energy to just send drones after people. And if they do turn that way, what have you done to that woman? You've taken her and changed her, and when she goes back to her children, there's a different kind of energy there, because she had to shut off a certain part of herself in order to get the job done and send people to their graves. Whereas a man, he has testosterone, and Allah Azza has created him in that way. Like women, I feel like we're very good with defensive war, because when we have our children, a threat comes, we handle it. A man, he scouts, he patrols the perimeter. He's a little bit different because his psychology is I must guard, so he's always on the watch. Whereas the woman, she's tending, and when something alerts her ears, she focuses in on it and then deals with the threat, right? That's from what I've noticed. Let me know what you think. But I definitely think that we should just leave Russia and Ukraine alone. We gotta fix the skeletons in our own closet. And way more deaths happen because of gang members than what any Russian has done to any American on American soil, right? So that's a thing that must be dealt with first, I feel. Let me know what you think.